Hi guys and welcome to new episode of Poppy App, and today I have again a very special guest and I have Livia with me. Hello.
Yay, hi.
Super grateful you're here. How's your day been?
It's been good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. You have such an interesting discography, even though you have four songs out, but all of them are just so amazing and so deep, and I just can't wait to talk about them and your journey.
Thank you.
So we can start with if you can tell us what motivated you to start your music career and how has the journey been so far?
Oh, so I've been singing for as long as I can remember. Um, Growing up, as soon as I could walk, I was doing dance lessons, and for a really long time, singing just sort of came with dancing. Um, I did like dance competitions all over the country, and there was a section of dance comps that you do, and it was song and dance. So you'd sing like half a song, and then you'd dance for the rest of it. So for a really long time, that's all that singing was, and I hadn't really thought that I could sing outside of that until like at school and things. I joined the choirs, and then just started to love singing on its own. And then when I got a bit older, I went on Britain's Got Talent, um, just for singing, and I think that's sort of when I realised that I could make something with just singing. And I got my first guitar for free from Facebook Marketplace when I was 12 and taught myself how to play guitar and started writing songs. That's and the rest is history.
Wow, that's so interesting. I've never heard someone having such an interesting history with the journey and beginning of it. So thank you for sharing. You went to Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah, I also did The Voice Kids a few years later. You can't see me on TV or anything because there's a lot more to both of them than that. There's like a lot more rounds than the TV round. But it's still super fun and like singing in front of important people and things. I think helped boost my confidence from the beginning.
Wow, I've never had anyone like that here before. If you are willing to share, of course you don't have to. How has the journey and all that kind of stuff, like experiencing this, shaped you as a musician?
Um, I think those experiences, like specifically with those talent shows, um, I think it got me used to rejection from quite early on. Not that that was ever a problem because I've always done anything creative just for the love of it. But I think that it's continued the love of it and the fact that I do this just for fun and for passion and to share my art. That having those no's from such early on and still continuing and still having support has been, I think, quite important in my journey.
Wow, that's such a valuable lesson to have at, such an early beginning of your music career. So, yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. That's really wise actually. I've never came across anyone like that, so thank you again. I'm actually trying to think about what I can say about it, but I've never even spoken to a person who went to a talent show. And I personally know that because I've seen a bunch of videos that it's like a long process, and whatever we see on TV is not first time or anything like that. So yeah, just that must have been kind of important, but not so, because you're doing your own thing now and you're doing so great. I can't wait to talk about all these songs.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was 11 when I did Britain's Got Talent, and I was 13 when I did The Voice, so it was like a very long time ago, and before really I even started writing my own music and wanting to do it in the capacity that I do it in now.
Yeah, well, definitely you've grown up since then, and whenever someone sees you, I'm sure they'd be proud in the progress you've made. And when we're talking about songwriting, so how does your songwriting process usually begin? Like, do you start with lyrics or melody or specific emotion or story?
This is very interesting actually because I was talking with my producer about this the other day. Because we've actually been trying to switch up the process, but I'm very much a lyrics based writer. I'm not very good at just sitting down and being like, I'm going to write a song now. It usually happens when I'm on the train or I'm walking home. I just find thinking about things and I end up writing. So it's usually lyrics first. And then I sit down. I used to automatically go to the guitar and try and do it that way, but the process has changed recently and it's actually helped me to become creative in a new way and to actually write some of my favorite songs that I've ever written in the last few months, because there's a song called Understudy which we're making at the moment, and I wrote it completely just stood in my kitchen, no instruments. I wrote it all in about half an hour. um just the melody from my head was just voice noting every time I thought of something new. And yeah, I just wrote it completely a cappella. And now taking it into being produced is a lot more interesting and a lot more free because I'm not attached to like a guitar part or some piano chords or anything. It's a lot more creatively freeing.
Yeah, I mean, when I listen to your songs first time, they just feel so personal and reflective, even for me. Like I can relate on so many ways and also so poetic and deep. So I can really like see that you put a lot of thought into your lyrics, but also they're like very vulnerable and honest. How do you decide what to share with the world versus what to keep private?
Um, Thank you so much for your kind words. Also, I'm sorry that you relate because they're all so sad. um, Um, I don't know. I When I quickly read through your questions earlier, I was going to make some notes actually of what to say, but I thought actually I won't do that because I wanted to just say what comes to my head with each question. But I was thinking for this one that actually I think the things that I choose to share and the things that I choose to keep private are actually maybe wouldn't make sense to a lot of people because I'm very open with like what all of my songs are about and like my experiences and my trauma and things, because I think it helps other people feel less alone if they've been through the same or similar things. It destigmatizes certain topics to talk about them. And also, I just don't care that much about people like knowing deep, dark things about me, to be honest. And also, I cope via humor a lot. So on TikTok lives, for example, I can't stop myself from like horrific jokes coming out. So I have to explain the context. Um, but the things I keep private are actually more like specific details that might let somebody know that a song is about them, or let other people know what a song is about if it's about a person, if that makes sense. Sort of in a protecting people way, even though most of the people that I've written songs about aren't in my life anymore because they're awful. um, but yeah, and also I always eventually explain what the songs are about in detail if people ask. But I think also I try to keep, when a song is about to be released or it's just been released, the meaning behind it a bit more open, because also I think the beauty of songwriting and listening to music is that somebody could listen to a song of mine and interpret it in a completely different way to what I meant, but it could be a comfort to them in a specific situation in their lives. And I've had songs that I listen to. A really great example is Chinese Satellite by Phoebe Bridgers. I don't have a clue what it's actually about. I don't know if she's ever spoken about it anywhere, but I take it as a really specific meaning and it's been such a comfort for me. So sometimes I keep the meanings hidden so that people can find what they want it to mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes completely sense. The first thing I want to say about the humor being your like coping mechanism, I totally understand. Like I'm the same as well.
Yeah.
Whenever something happens, I'm just trying to laugh it off, you know? So, yeah, and that's what makes you like a great songwriter because you can be deep, but when you're like explaining, you're like, guys, actually, it's not that deep. So, yeah, I can pretty like relate, not on like the songwriting kind of process, but in like, I don't know, I write something or say something, and people look at me and are like, are you actually like joking? You're gonna joke about something like that? And I'm like, first of all,
Yeah.
it's my life, and second of all, like, yes.
I think it's also thinking about what you just said, it's also really nice, like especially on like TikTok lives and things, when I play songs like later, a lot later than they've been written. Sometimes actually the meanings change a lot for me, and also in the same way that I enjoy when my lyrics are a comfort to people. When I play songs a lot later, I can be like, this is what it meant at the time, but actually I got through that situation and it's okay now. And which I like to let people know that things do get better. Some things don't, which I think is also important to know, but also lots of things do get better.
It's okay not to be okay. I always say, like,
Yeah.
and as long as we support each other in whatever way and art we create, I think we can create a good support system for anyone basically in the world.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
that's how I felt about your songs when I first heard them. Because, as you said, like, I can make a whole different meaning about, a single song, and it can mean so much other to, songwriter or other people listening. And that's what makes you like such a great songwriter. But I want to hear like from your perspective, like what the songs actually like mean to you. And I mean, you have 4 songs out now officially, and
Yeah.
we can go track by track basically, and I want to start from the oldest to the newest. And by the way, I want to say, like, for like a debut single that postcodes was, it's it's just such an amazing song. Like, I cannot comprehend that like this is your debut song. And as when you mentioned that you were like singing and you went to the talent show, like I can hear that you worked so hard on it and it paid off. Like, it's such an amazing debut song. Like, you should be really proud of yourself. I don't hear debut songs being so good that much, because obviously people are gonna get better and better and better, but this is seriously such a great song. I love it. It's honestly my favorite song of yours.
Thank you so much. That's so kind.
Yeah,
Um
so if you can share like inspiration behind the song.
yeah, so this one actually was, so I never sort of intended to release music. I I always maybe had like a feeling that I would, but I didn't know how I'd get there. And postcodes was sort of an accident, and starting to release music was an accident. Um, as I say, I've been writing songs since I was about 12, but they were always for like just me in my bedroom. I'd post them on like Instagram or YouTube occasionally for my friends and family. Um, but my boyfriend, who is also my producer, we met at university, and he does music, and we met actually because we started singing together. Um, and one day we were like, oh, we should like make a song together. I'd lended vocals on a song of his, which I'm not going to say too much about because that one might be coming out um soon. But then we were like, oh, like we should try and make a song of mine at some point. And he was just playing me things one day that he'd been making, and he played me something, and I was like, wow, I really like that. And it was what became the intro of Postcodes. It was like the rain layered with some background vocals of his, um, and yeah, we just started building Postcodes on top of that intro that I really loved, and or so the lyrics of Postcodes didn't actually exist already. So my process changed completely for this one and this one alone. But it's sort of, I write every day, even if it's just like a sentence, a verse. I have lots of things that I've actually turned into poems because they haven't worked as songs. But I try to write at least something every day because I'm a Cancer as well, my star sign. So I feel a lot of things. So I have lots to write about all the time. um, and so I had an amalgamation of like little sayings or one liners in my notes from the last sort of year. So we wrote postcodes in sort of February 2023, I want to say. And um I knew I wanted it to be about sort of the 2 years of my life from leaving home and starting university up until the point of writing the song. And I had all of these lyrics in my notes about all of these different things. And postcodes actually starts and ends in the same place. It sort of circles on itself meaning wise. Um so yeah, it's about like leaving my hometown to follow my dreams and go to university to study theatre. It's then about my first heartbreak, my first big heartbreak, I suppose, whilst I was at uni. Um, it's about dealing with grief, dealing with like childhood friendships and like your life changing as you get older. So yeah, it's sort of about my whole life up until the point of writing it. Um, and there are a lot of Easter eggs in there because I grew up with artists like Ariana Grande, who was planting surprises in everything and Easter eggs to find. And even though I didn't know if anybody was going to be listening to postcodes at the time, I sort of I knew that my audience would find me eventually, and I thought, wouldn't it be so cool if in 10 years' time, if I'm doing like a genius lyric interview, and I can be like, well, that lyric there from my first ever song actually links with my like fifth album or something. Um, and yeah, in all four of my songs, there are things that link them and little Easter eggs that link to my life and other projects. And I had lots of fun doing those.
Oh my god, thank you for sharing. Yeah, when I first heard the song, I'm ending high school this school year, but basically next year. Like I'm doing exams in March and May, and that what kind of resonated with me and this song where I know I need to eventually like leave my hometown and do something and follow my dreams or whatever. So that's what resonated with me. And also you mentioned grief, and I actually did not think about it before, but I've went through like a major two griefs in my life recently. And yeah, when you mentioned that, like that's actually I'm gonna re-listen to the song like tonight, and will be probably bawling my eyes out because I was when I first heard it. And so yeah, thank you for like mentioning that.
Yeah, I'm
And
so sorry to hear that you've had some losses recently, but and also congrats on reaching the end of school. That's so exciting.
thank you. I'm honestly so excited. Like I cannot do high school anymore. Like so done. I'm like super excited. I'm gonna miss my friends and miss the school and everything, but like I'm super done, like super grateful I can continue with my life, honestly.
Yeah.
But and also mentioning the Easter eggs, that actually like so interesting because I love it myself. Like as a fangirl, I am just like obsessed with finding them. I am unfortunately not gifted enough to find them and be smart, even though I am a Taylor Swift fan and Ariana Grande fan, but like not not the smart Swifty or whatever, just not me. So I'm just like looking through Twitter and I'm like, that actually makes sense, and I've never thought about that. But yeah, and like like thinking about the Easter eggs prior, the things that are gonna happen, that's actually like super interesting. Like you do you already know some of the lyrics that are gonna resonate with your next projects or something like that?
Not right now. I assume we'll get to talking maybe a bit later about future projects, but I'm basically currently overhauling the way that I work. So I am currently making an EP, but I even now I don't have a clue what's going to be on it. There's a few songs that I have sort of starred that I would really, really love to make it on there. But at the moment, we're just writing and making new things and seeing what happens. But I think in postcodes, it was more because I actually didn't know what I was going to release next. Again, I had like a backlog of songs that I loved, but I didn't know. It was more in. I'm just having a read through the lyrics now and trying to find you an example. It's more like things that I knew that say my fans might find out about me later on. So and I knew that I could intentionally link back on things as well. So in the outro of postcodes, it says, "How can I lose something so permanently inked?" Which was in reference to I have a tattoo that says "Just Sparkle," which and it's in my mum's handwriting, and it was referring to losing my sparkle, which is like how I was feeling at the time. And then in my song "Forever Be," which didn't exist at the time of us making postcodes, the "Just Sparkle" thing is just sort of a running theme in my life. But the hook of "Forever Be" ended up being "Sparkling like I'll forever be." So in my 4 singles that are out right now, as well as postcodes being a full circle, the 4 songs are also a full circle because the song ends with that I've lost my sparkle, and the 4th song, "Forever Be," is me finding it again. So in the going back to the outro of postcodes, the next lyric is "Send me a sign, oh please give me a hint," which is like referring to a sign as in from a loss. "Needle into my skin turns absence into art." This is actually really funny because when I've reread these lyrics and thinking about how other people could interpret them, I realise this maybe looks like a drug lyric, and it's not at all. "Needle into my skin" meant like tattoos, because this outro is sort of about my tattoos. But I think it's funny if people interpret it that way, because I guess it's just sort of a metaphor for any coping mechanism, I guess. "My fish swim dejected." This is actually going to link to an Easter egg that nobody has ever noticed, and I've never told anyone about it, so it is exclusive for this podcast, which is exciting. "My fish swim dejected" is I have a fish tattoo on my thigh. This isn't the secret one. We'll get there in a minute. I have a fish tattoo on my upper thigh, and one of the themes of postcodes and one of the things that I had written in my notes was that one of the people I was writing about, although they're still in my life, they're in my life in a very different way because it's not romantic or sexual anymore. And since they knew me in that way, I have a lot of tattoos now, that some people will never see just because of where they are. So the fish on my thigh, people would probably have never seen unless I'm at the beach, for example. So "my fish swimming dejected" is sort of written from the perspective of my fish being sad because they're never seen. And there's a really funny moment from when we wrote postcodes, of which Barney, my producer and boyfriend, was like, we were searching for a word which was dejected, and he went, "We just need to write in the perspective of the fish," which was hilarious, and we still quote it all the time. But the exclusive Easter egg is that when you submit a song to a distributor, you have to give like a record label name, even if you don't have one. And it's what comes up if you look on a song on Spotify, like in the credit bits at the bottom. I don't think you have to put something actually, but we were like, it would be fun to put something. And nobody has ever spotted this before, but my record label bit at the bottom is called Koi Records. Koi, as in like the adjective, and koi as in the fish, because the fish tattoo are koi fish. So that koi is in like meaning shy. So Shy Fish Records, basically. and it's forever a nod to postcodes and the fish tattoo. But yeah, nobody has ever picked up on that before.
Oh my god, I just went to Spotify and like checked it and it's real. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's so smart. And all of the stuff you said, you're just like so smart. Like I cannot comprehend that. Also, thank you for sharing such an exclusive thing. I will make sure to like mention like there's an exclusive information here and nobody ever will hear this unless they listen to this. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's
that's exciting.
that's exciting. Finally, I'm having some, some Easter egg and that I will get, and people will need to like search for and basically like listen to this so they'll know. But
There are
no,
honestly so many. Like I could talk for probably 2 hours just about the things that I've like hidden in lyrics or like in like photos. So like going back to the Just Sparkle thing, I'd basically my sparkle tattoo is in every picture of me ever. So basically every picture was an Easter egg for Forever Be, even before it existed, which is so funny to me.
that's so funny, honestly. I'm honestly excited to whatever you say about the other songs because the postcodes, like as I said, is my favorite, but it already became a more favorite because of the things you've said. So thank you.
Oh, that's
Um,
so exciting.
what about Northern Light? I also really like the single cover on this. What can you say about this song?
So this one actually, so where postcodes was sort of written in situation, Northern Line I wrote with my guitar, so it was more of a classic Livia. It was just me in my room with my guitar during the heartbreak that I talk about in postcodes. Um, yeah, literally just been broken up with. I'm in my uni room on my own with my guitar, my weapon, if you will. Um, and yeah, I wrote this in one night, and I always really loved it. And basically, I have another song called Boyfriend Material, which is an unreleased. It's sort of a fan favorite. But at the time, I was between releasing Boyfriend Material or Northern Line, just because they're sort of similar in a way. They're both guitar-based songs in a similar key, sort of similar melody. Um, and I played a gig that my best friend came to, and she never really says much about my music. Not in an unsupportive way. She's very supportive, but she's never really comments specifically just because she doesn't make music, so she doesn't really give specific feedback. Um, and one day she just went, "I really liked that one that you played tonight. Why don't you release that?" And I was like, "You know what? You're right." And the person that this one's about um, is also a musician at the uni that I went to, and he had heard the song, and we were still civil. And the song came out, and the day it came out, he unfollowed me. So he didn't like this one. Um, but we actually made this song in one night before we sent it off to be released. Um, and I'd collected the intro from the tube. The next station is Angel. Um, I had to get really up close and personal with a tube carriage speaker, which is disgusting, to get that. But I knew it needed to be in the intro. And the whistling at the start is also Barney, which we've sort of realised now him being in my intros in some way is sort of his like producer tag. In the way that like Jason Derulo at the start of all his songs is like Jason Derulo, instead of that it's like Barney either whistling or doing some like background vocals or something. But there are some, maybe not Easter eggs as such in Northern Line, but uh, there are I I don't say I write clever lyrics very often, but the odd time I do, people don't seem to notice like what they mean. And I remember writing this at the time and being so proud of it. So in the first verse of Northern Line, station named after your face means angel. The person that this song is about lived at Angel. And then that's why later on it says your angel face lights up. And thank you for your lovely words about the cover art, because that is a picture of me sat at Angel Station, and we just photoshopped so in the middle where it says Northern Line, it would usually say Angel, and we just photoshopped it to have the song title on.
Okay, so first of all, saying your lyrics are not clever always, that is such a bullshit. Like, I feel they're super clever. Second
Thank
of
you
all,
so
you're
much.
very hilarious. I was cackling at the unfollowing thing also. That made me like die, honestly. You were like, I guess he didn't like it that much. That made me like die inside. and and oh my god, well, I don't know like the stations obviously because I'm not from there and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, but that's very smart. Like, I would not think about, honestly, you're next Taylor Swift, if not better. Like, I would not think about this in like a million years ever. And yeah, and of course I love the cover art so much. Like, it's probably one of my favorites. One of my favorites. If I have to say, my favorite is Forever B, but this one is like close top three. So yeah.
Thanks. It's been so cute that since this one was released on, like when my fans have been on trips to London, they like go to Angel on purpose just to take pictures, and it's like I can't believe that. It's so cute.
Oh my god, whenever I'm there, I'm making a picture, and I'm gonna talk about this moment right here that you just like told me about this Easter egg and the lyric. I'm gonna post the lyric on my Instagram, and nobody will get it, but the people who stan you and know you will do. So thank you for
we
the
can
idea.
we can do podcast part 2, and we can do it at
Yeah,
Angel Station.
I agree. Let's do it. I'm honestly booking the flight right now.
Amazing.
Mm. What about Almost Lovers? I love the simplicity of this, but also it made me sob a little. What the song means to you?
So this is a really great example of what I was saying earlier of how I can write songs and then the meaning changes completely. Um, this one actually it means a lot now because I think I wrote it and didn't really understand what I was writing, if that makes sense. Like I've sort of assigned meaning to it later, but at the time it was just sort of words on a page. And I actually started to write it because on TikTok there was a guy that played piano, and he posted a really beautiful like piano piece, and he was like, songwriters write something to this. And so I wrote a little bit to it, posted it on there, and I just really liked it. And so I took it away. I put his piano thing into Ableton so I could just write to it basically, and Almost Lovers was born. And it's so the meaning actually started off being about a really specific time when I was like 13, that my mum wouldn't let me out to see my boyfriend at the time because I hadn't done my maths homework, which is so silly. Um, and it sort of ended up being half like a sad song about like having somebody in your life that maybe you've always been more than friends but never quite been in a relationship, and for whatever reason you keep crossing paths but never properly, and you know you need to let this person go for like the best of both of you, but you just can't. And it's also sort of about OCD at the same time. Um and we'd basically finished producing this, and we got to the bridge section, and I have a very talented friend called Aaron, who had done little bits and pieces on postcodes and Northern Line already, just little bits of instrumentation for us. Um, and I had an idea to write a bridge from the other person's perspective, so like a response from the person that I'm singing about in Almost Lovers. And I wrote it at first for me to sing, and well, that's a lie. My intention before I started writing lyrics was maybe I could sing it and we'd put maybe like a phone filter on it. And as I started writing the lyrics and writing the melody, I could hear Aaron's voice in my head. He's a great singer as well. He's just so talented. Um, and he was up for it, which was amazing. So it's his voice that you can hear in the bridge, and I think it's my favorite part of the song. And I don't really listen to my own music very often, but I actually listened to this one the other day, and I think it might be, meaning aside, I think just for just how all of my songs sound lined up and the production, I think this one is my favorite. I really, really love this one.
Yeah, the production is amazing. I also wanted to ask like who's the second voice, and now you like told us, so thank you. And I love the bridge as well, and the
I'm
song.
also very good at accidentally manifesting things in my songs, and I wrote the lyrics. Um, my hair curls at the ends, and so I wrote Almost Lovers in October of last year, and it came out in March this year, I think it was. Um, so I wrote this in October, and I found out in December that I have wavy hair. So I wrote that my hair curls just as a lyric, really, because at the start of the song says that I'm straightening strands, as in straightening my hair. So at the end it says my hair curls at the ends because I've stopped straightening my hair. But yeah, I find out that I have wavy hair once I'd written that lyric, so that's wild.
That's insane. Like honestly, I was expect when you said like I'm manifesting things, I was expecting like everything, but not this. Like this made me laugh. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know what to say about this, honestly. Like, great for you, I guess. I mean, that you found out you have wavy hair. It's. I mean, it's always struggle with hair. I don't know what my hair is. Sometimes it's straight. Sometimes it's wavy. It's complicated out there
Yeah,
for
I agree.
for us we just don't know, like they're living their own life, I guess. But yeah, also about the production, like I love this, and also the idea of the guy you saw like playing on the piano and made a verse and then like made a whole song. That's actually also interesting because I've never like ever I spoken to people, nothing like this ever happened. And I feel like every song you explain, it came from different place and also time, and it was created differently. So I love that your songwriting process and creative process is just so unique and different.
Thanks. Yeah, I hadn't really, I guess until explaining it, I've I've sort of been annoyed with myself that all of my songs start with me in my room on my guitar, but actually talking through them, of the released ones, they actually haven't at all.
And what about Forever Be? How was it with your latest single?
So I started writing this one last Christmas. I was in Scotland with my boyfriend and his family, and somebody was in the kitchen talking about floodgates. Like because there was a storm going on somewhere, and I just remember writing "floodgates are open, prepare for the storm" in my notes. And I don't know why. I don't really know what made me write that down. I have no idea. Um, and I just kept adding little bits and pieces to it. And every Christmas, I think, well, not every Christmas, I think that Christmas specifically, it was my first proper Christmas, really, like with a full family. And I spent it with my boyfriend, and it was just very happy and very emotional for me. And I thought of my ex's mum in that sounds very odd, but I think just I got on with her very well, and I just thought of her and I was like, oh, she'd be really happy for me, like that I'm finally doing well, and I have I'm having a happy Christmas, basically. Um, and so the first verse is about my ex's mum, um, and the fact that she'd be happy for me, which is funny. And then it turned into it felt like it was going to be sad, and then I felt sort of a sense of like optimism and like positivity in through writing lyrics that I've never found before. Um, and so I just had that little bit in my notes, and then we went back to the Lake District where my boyfriend and his family are, and we met up with Aaron, who is the voice from Almost Lovers, and it was like just before New Year's Eve, and Barney and Aaron were doing something completely different, and I just was sat down with my guitar, just trying to work out some chords or something for this, and I started singing it. And Aaron's ears perked up, and he was like, "What's that? It sounds great." I played it to him, and he was like, "Let's go downstairs to the piano right now and work on this." Um, and so I wrote it with my two best friends just before New Year, and we finished it that night. Um, and it ended up actually being very happy and a very, very special song to me. About it came from such a different place than postcodes of I guess it was a similar place because it was sort of an accumulation of the 2 years between making postcodes and making this, and actually that things are better, and I found a new outlook on life, and that my sparkle has returned. And it also felt very special because it's in a way dedicated to my mum, and finding the sparkle in everything, which is all she ever asked of me to do. But also the chorus with this one. I do this a lot where, like I mentioned before, I have things in my notes that are just little snippets of something and never end up being anything. Or I write like half songs and then never finish them. But then sometimes I write a new song and steal sections of an old song that I've never done anything with, which is exactly what I did here. So a paint by numbers coloured wrong. I've been outside my lines, which is the chorus of Forever Be, was actually a chorus of a different song with the same melody years and years and years ago that I wrote in 2020 about a horrible relationship that I was in. Um, and yeah, I turned what was once some really sad lyrics into a new positive song. So it's sort of, again, an accumulation of my life, but also my songwriting process from the last few years, all in one song. And then when we got back to London after New Year and took it into our home studio to start making, we had all the voice recordings of us making it and Aaron playing the piano in our house in the Lake District. And we were originally going to re-record it all so it sounded like polished and nice. But in the recording, you could hear like Aaron like sat at the piano and the chair squeaking with him, and you can hear like me laughing in the background, and you could feel the energy that was in the room, and we were like, we'll never be able to replicate this. And so even though it wasn't perfect, that is in the final song, that you can still hear the chair squeaking. And I'm so glad that we did that because I really love it. And the song concludes with a video of my mum. It's of me and my mum, and it's from a Snapchat memory, which is so funny. And it's us laughing about something, and I don't even remember what we were laughing at. But it's her through like absolute fits of laughter going, I'm done, I'm finished. And I found that video again whilst we were working on this song, and I was like, that needs to end the song. Like it was sort of the perfect roundup. And yeah, I this one is very, very special to me. It's a very special one.
Yeah, it sounds very special as well, especially when you like explain the whole lore behind this. And as you said, like when I'm comparing like postcodes and now this song, it's like full circle moment, as you said. And when I'm like trying to play the your debut song in my head and Forever Be, like it truly just like sees how much you've grown since then. And I did not notice the chair squeaking thing, so I'm gonna re-listen after this, and I'm gonna make sure to hear it as well. But yeah, I think especially these little moments, like as you said, like your mom laughing and the chair squeaking and you laughing and all that kind of like little just stuff that you put in the song are actually like super super nice, and I love hearing this. I love when sometimes people put like no a voice note in song or something like this. So yeah, thank you for sharing this, and it sounds very special, and especially when it came from such an amazing space and warm space.
Yeah, thank you so much. Another thing with this one is also that links sort of with all of the other releases is that so with each release as it happened, I because I released a song in winter, in sort of the second winter that we have in the UK, especially where you think it's spring but it's not quite. Then actual spring, and then Forever Bee came out in summer. So with each release, I made like a themed playlist with inspirations for the song, and also songs that to me fit with winter or spring or whatever. Um, so each playlist was called like Postcodes Autumn or Northern Line Winter, um, Almost Lovers Spring, whatever. Um, but Forever Bee in itself, in the lyrics, actually cycles all of the seasons just on its own. So it starts in winter, Christmas, and then in the verse, the snow melts, the sunlight gets in, um, like flowers bloom, sort of thing. Um, and then it's summer in the song because I talk about sun cream and it being 30 degrees. So yeah, the song itself cycles all the seasons as well as all my releases having done that, which I actually didn't do on purpose. A couple of my Easter eggs have been extremely accidental. Um, I guess I just part of my brain is obviously in tune now with doing Easter eggs on its own.
Yeah, I've noticed the playlists, and I remember like checking them, and I was like, that's so interesting. I also wanted to like ask about them, like how did you came up with them, and thank you for like explaining this, and especially the winter one, because obviously it's winter, like it's
Yeah.
coming soon, or it's been snowing like for 2 days now, and I saw like Casual there from
Oh,
Chapel Roan and Bags by Clairo, and that's exactly like how I felt when I listened to especially Northern Line, that I just felt the Bags by Clairo. I can't think about any other song that was there. I think there was a song by Lizzie McAlpin that also I noticed that just like the not not that it's the same, but like similarity, the vibe,
yeah,
that's the word I'm searching
I'm
for.
a big vibe person. Like Pinterest boards and Spotify playlists and mood boards and things like that are such a huge part of my creative process because I make so much art in all capacity. Like as I say, I write poems as well. I draw. I've always been massively creative. So like the vibe is very much how I go, and like colors and things, which is great for my brain, but I'm now finding ways of. So, for example, with Barney, my producer, he doesn't really work in the same way because he's so talented, but musically, so I'll make him a playlist of say references, and I mean that like the playlist, it's a vibe, and I'm like the song should fit this vibe, whereas in the playlist he'll hear musically what's the same about the songs, where sometimes that isn't what I mean. So I'm trying to find new ways of trying to explain vibes of things in a better language.
I get you. I get what you're saying. I get the vibes. I love like making playlists, and I also love writing, not in like a I'm not writing poems, more like an essays,
Yeah,
and I'm trying to write a book, like
that's
it's
so
in a
fun.
yeah. So it's all kind of stuff, not in like I can't say in a poetic way, because obviously like there are some things that are deeper, and especially like in essays, but I just love when people just like write poems, really. Do you ever think about like releasing them, because you said like some stuff you write down turns out to be just poems and you cannot like turn them into a song, like do you ever think about like releasing a book of poems or something like that?
I don't know. I have thought about it, but I think when I say that stuff becomes like poems in my notes, it's I'm not saying that they're good, but I think it's because songwriting for me is literally just therapy. Like it's how I started, it's how I continue. with songwriting that I think sometimes these things ending up either as like little stories or little poems is sort of like a way of me to finish, like for the emotion to feel processed and the thing to feel finished, even if it hasn't become a song. Because I think otherwise I'd never move on from certain like lyrics or things, and sometimes things just aren't meant to be. And although for every good song there's like 10 bad songs that I've written, I think just sometimes some feelings or strings of words aren't meant to be anything more than just something small, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Well, as much as I love listening to music, I love reading as well. So if you ever like decide, and I'm sure they're great. I love your brain already. I need to say, like, everything you said, it's just been mind blowing, and it's like 11 p.m. for me. And I like to think my brain works harder at that part of night, but actually no, like tonight it just stopped and I'm just like thinking about everything you said. So you're really just smart. I don't know how to say it in another way. Like you're so intelligent and also well spoken. I
Oh,
just can't
thank you
wait
so much.
for whatever you're gonna come with, because I just love deep meaning of that. I love to think about stuff deeply. I'm graduating from philosophy as well,
Oh
and
wow, that's so interesting.
yeah, just like whatever these men like say, I'm just like overthinking. Whenever the lesson ends, I'm just like overthinking everything, every my life choice, and if the world is spinning the right way, and if my life has meaning. So listening to songs like that when they're like so deep, it just means so much to me. So thank you, really.
Thank you for listening.
And I'm gonna go back to the playlist thing and
Yeah.
also other artists. Are there any artists or genres that have significantly shaped your sound or style?
Oh my gosh, so many. Um, oh, I don't even know where to start. Musical theatre for definite. So I was a theatre kid. As I mentioned, I grew up dancing, doing musical theatre. So my voice is very musical naturally. And when I started to take music on its own a bit more seriously, especially when I started writing my own songs, I really had to train out the musical side because when I started to sing like pop songs, for example, I sounded like the memes of musical theatre people covering pop songs where it sounds really operatic. Or I would just sound like an absolute carbon copy, say, of Billie Eilish or whatever song I was trying to cover. I didn't have my own voice for a really long time, if that makes sense. Um, so I really had to find that. And I think now I have a balance between because I think I sound very British when I sing. Not too much anymore. I think I've lost it in the last few years, but for a while that was sort of really built into my style. Um, so yeah, musical theatre growing up was my gateway into all things music. And then as I started writing songs, I was growing up watching like Dodie and Orla Gartland on YouTube. And I listened to so much Sleeping at Last and those sorts of like acoustic sad artists, which I think really cemented me in sad music. Um, and then Ariana has been a constant since I was 10 till now. I will love her forever. Um, she's always been a huge inspiration, but I find inspiration in so many places. And I also listen to so many different types of music. Like my friends make electronic music and sort of dance music, which I'm also really into, and I lend my vocals to them sometimes. So getting to do those sorts of projects is also really fun. Um, yeah, at the moment, I'm really loving Role Model's new album, and I'm finding that very inspiring.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I have nobody to talk about it, but I love his new album as well. I've been listening to him since his debut album
Yeah,
RX, and yeah, it's just I just love it so much. And it's so country but also like pop and like very like
yeah. I've
just like
been
vibing.
really loving pop with country influence in the last year. I think it's great with like Chapel Roan as well, with that sort of vibe.
Yeah, I love it so much. I'm just like constantly like on repeat and all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you for sharing the inspirations. Also the like the musical theater, that's also like a new thing for me where people don't really like mention that. Ha would you ever like want to pursue it in the future?
Well, so I my non music job, I work in sound for theatre. So my degree that I did was in like backstage for theatre. So yeah, I work in sound. So musical theatre is still massively cemented in my daily life. I'm just not on stage. I'm backstage.
Okay, period. I love that. Um um and I've been stalking, guilty, but it's just like I have to do my research some way, and
You're
stalking.
so me. I'm such a stalker.
Yeah, I'm just like I need to stalk people to like get to know them, unfortunately, and internet can tell you so much stuff. But
Yes.
I've noticed that your fans are just like so dedicated in like so many ways, and how
Yeah, they're
has
the
it been for
best.
you to kind of create this community and just like have this relationship with your fans?
It's like honestly, some days I think about it and I'm like, I don't know how this is real. Like, I'm so grateful and so fortunate. Um, but I grew up on Twitter and I grew up like standing artists and everything. And so much of what I do is just thinking back to little me and thinking, what would I have wanted to see from the artists that I loved and that I interacted with on Twitter? Um, what would I have been like so excited for them to do? And then I just sort of do those things and it seems to work. And like I just love getting to know so many people and like yeah, it's just so nice. And I found so many artists that are now huge when they were really small. Like I saw Maisie Peters in a room of about 100 people in like 2017, and now seeing her be absolutely huge and take over the world is so nice. And I'll always remember like the interactions that I had with her. But it also inspires me so much as an artist just because she's one of my favorite artists, but also knowing that that could be me at some point and also that these people will be with me for the whole journey is just absolutely mad and I owe everything to them.
Yeah, I'm also super grateful and happy to discover small artists when they're still small, and not because of like I don't know. We just talked about this today with this other artist actually, where we were discussing like how some people are not very supportive towards small artists, or they're just like bitching about fangirls standing small artists because of interactions or whatever. That was like never personally my intention. It's just more
Yeah.
like you want to support these people because they're, first of all, like their music is amazing, and sometimes I like their music more than some mainstream stuff that is going around. And second of all, like it's so nice to see them once when they're, like grown up and gain followers and all that kind of stuff. You can just like see them on stage and be like, wow, like I've been here since the beginning. And for me personally, it's such an achievement because I'm such a huge fangirl, and I'm super grateful that I still found you when you're, smaller, and I can just like brag about like, yeah, like I've known her, you know.
I think such a big part of it, as I say as well, is that I really do understand it because I was like I have a group chat on Twitter and it's so mad that they're like these people are all like friends and talking because of me because that was literally me in an Ariana group chat 5 years ago and I met my bestest friends to this day because of artist group chats. So I really do understand the impact that it has on people's lives.
No, me too as well. Like I am in so many group chats and all of these people are just so kind and supportive. And I love how we can create communities like that because sometimes it happens that people make fun of you, especially people in my real life that
Yeah.
are my friends. I love them so much. Super grateful for them if they're hearing this, but Sometimes I just cannot stand when they don't understand this side of me being a fangirl and actually like being enthusiastic about something. I'm like, this is also part of me. Like, please accept me. And having people online like this who like the same artist or a similar artist, it's just so special for me.
Yeah, I agree. And also, it's like, I'm so sorry that sometimes your friends don't make you feel supported in all of the ways. But also, like, we're all different. We all like different things. We all do different things with our spare time. And I think that's what makes life so full of love and so exciting. And we should be uplifting each other and each other's interests rather than like making fun of each other because we're not, maybe we don't understand or because we're not in the same circles.
Yeah, I mean, especially in my country, like here, first of all, very small. Slovakia is like 5 million people, like not much
Oh,
for
gosh.
yeah, like not much at all. My city has like around 80,000, which is like not a lot.
Yeah.
And Mm, and living in such a small country, I was always taught to not express myself as much and do all that kind of stuff and be enthusiastic about things and not just like fangirling, but like all of other kind of stuff. I mean, people made fun of me when I started playing on piano when I was 4 and I was in kindergarten still because I was just like too happy about it, like it's insane to think about it, but it happens unfortunately. And sometimes online space can be only space that is your support system. And as much as toxic as it is, it really made me realize that I've become so much more confident in the stuff that I'm doing. I mean, not 100%, because of course I'm gonna have days where I'm gonna doubt myself, but it's just that you can meet people who are truly worth it here I mean online. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you have such a hard time though in person. I mean, I'm so lucky now to live in London and it's such like a diverse place where and also because I think being at school is especially hard because kids are just so judgy and when you're still in a place with cliques and things. I think definitely as I've gotten older, I care a lot less and people have especially working in theatre, people have such specific wild interests. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, as soon as I move to bigger city, I'm gonna be fine.
yeah, you've got this, and you're bigger and better than the people that make fun of you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen much often, or I just like shut them down because I've learned to speak my mind since
Good.
I was, younger. But also, yeah, like it's gonna obviously like hurt. I'm not gonna pretend like it doesn't hurt, especially from people you think that are your friends. But yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna like finish this high school thing and move on with my life, and then we will see who's actually like trying to do something with their life or are gonna spend the rest of their life with their mothers. Like you do you seriously.
Yeah, I've found the same actually since I grew up in a small town in the north of England, which doesn't have the same opportunities as in London and has sort of a stigma of not being a very nice place. But I find that now the people that were not nice at school um haven't really left our hometown and haven't really done much with their lives and are still sort of in the same ways of being friends with the same people and not growing or achieving anything. And obviously, if people want to stay in their hometowns, that's absolutely fine. Like that's great for some people. But I mean in the way of that they've not changed or grown or, moved on from school.
Well, this speaks a lot already. Like I don't think I need to elaborate on this. As I said, like it depends. Like either you're gonna try, you're gonna get through the hills and ups and downs, or you're gonna just stay at the same place for the rest of your life. Like, but if someone's happy, like, you do you, as I said.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you hope listeners take away from your music?
Oh, that they are never alone and that like excuse my language, but that life is fucking hard, but that's okay, and it's okay to express that in any way that you need to get it out, and that there will be people to hold your hand and get you through it, and that there is always something bigger and better at the end of the hard times, and that also the hard times, some of them don't ever get better as such, but you grow around them and you learn to live with them. um yeah, and also that men are bad.
I love this one. Yeah. This feels like such a virtual hug. Also, I'm gonna ask a question that is like so random, but it just came to my mind when you said the last sentence, which is very true. But I wanna ask, if you're like scrolling on TikTok, because
Yeah.
I'm very much like chronically online on TikTok especially.
Oh, me
And
too. My screen time is horrendous.
yeah, I can't even like talk about it because that's just insane. Like I need the help. Like if someone's gonna take away my phone, I don't know if I'm gonna survive it. But I've seen this trend and it's called I hate my boyfriend trend. I don't know if you've seen this.
I think I might have, but if you explain a little more, I'll let you know.
Yeah, so it's basically it's such a funny trend. I mean, I'm not in a relationship right now, but it's basically like I don't know, like I've been hanging out with my boyfriend's friends and I realized that I got the ugliest one. Just like a trend where you like
Oh,
bitch
okay.
about
Yeah.
your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say if you like seen this and was giggling a little about it
My
because I've spoken to
favorite,
her today
my
and
favorite one at the moment is the women in male fields one.
oh yes, that one
That
too.
that's hilarious. Although I confuse, like, I wouldn't say my friends. I confuse people that know me and my boyfriend all the time, because obviously TikTok is a great way as a small artist to promote my music, but quite a lot of my music is marketable in the way of like, wow, this horrible dating thing happened to me, or like this silly man did this silly thing. Um and I'll often post a video that's explained something like that to one of my songs, and I'll get messages and be like, "Oh my gosh, is everything okay? Have you broken up?" And I'm like, "No, everything's fine. I just write sad songs about men, but the men are from like 5 years ago. But I have to promote my music somehow."
Yeah, I mean it's like just for giggles sometimes. Like you just have to giggle sometimes to like
Yeah,
get through stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, if we're talking about like promoting and stuff and just like your music again, I know
Yeah.
it's super hard, but if you had to describe your music in 3 words, what would they be?
Ooh, that's really hard.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a great question. Um, Raw is one of them. I'm trying not to think about this too much. I'm trying to use like the first words that come to my head. Intentional is another one. Um, and sad probably. Although they're not all sad. I'm trying for them not to all be sad anymore. But for now, raw, intentional, and sad. I'm gonna go with.
I agree. I agree honestly. And if you could think about like one lyric that is your favorite right now and share it with us and why does it resonate so much with you?
Oh, this is really hard because I have a lot of lyrics. Um,
Maybe like one lyric that describes like what you're feeling right now at this one specific moment.
say whenever anybody asks me this question, I always have the same answer, but it's from an unreleased song, and I can't really explain why it's my favorite. Um, but it's from an unreleased song of mine called "Boyfriend Material," which is the one I'm saying is a bit of a fan favorite, and I always play it live. And the lyric is, "You're looking for a life and tennis partner. I'm more for making a racket." And I, at the time, didn't really process it of how, if I can say this about my own words, how good it is. I think that's so clever, and I can't believe that I wrote that. And it's, yeah, I every time somebody asks my favorite lyric, I think it's still that one. And I wrote that song in 2021, else 2022, very early on 2022. But now, um, anybody that follows me on Twitter will know I absolutely love the film Challengers. Um, and I now am currently writing a song inspired by Challengers, so with tennis themed. But I have the most brilliant tennis lyric ever from a different song. So it's sort of full circle moment that I didn't know was going to happen.
That's insanely smart. That lyric, I've just been like mind blown.
Yeah.
This I could not think about this even there was, gun next to my head and there would be like make the greatest lyric of all time. I could not come up with this because this is actually the greatest lyric I've ever heard. Is this song ever like coming out?
I don't know. So people ask me this all the time. And also, the more time that passes, the more I really love this one. And I really love playing it live because it's sort of one of those that I'm so comfortable with now, and I could play it in my sleep, that I sort of have a bit of fun with it and it gets quite expressive. Um, but as I say, it's very similar to Northern Line. So I don't know if there's a way in the future that I could make it different, or we've never tried to produce it. So I don't know. There is a very early version of it on my SoundCloud, but it's literally the voice note from the day I wrote it. So it's quite different to how I play it now. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It is one of my favorites. So I think it might, if it doesn't come out, I feel like it will end up being my, if you know Gracie Abrams and her law, I feel like it might end up being my in between.
Oh, yes.
Um, yeah, where it's everywhere, but I just don't acknowledge it and it's not out. Because every time I mention new music, everyone in the comments is like, "We want boyfriend material," and I'm like, "I have nothing to say."
I mean, maybe it's time, but if you, I mean, obviously it's your, music and space, and if you feel like not putting this one out, but I mean, if I just feel like whenever an artist or anyone in general just like doesn't put out something the second they're like 100% sure with it, then it's because they have a reason behind this, and you also like may not know what's the reason behind this, like why it's not finished, or I don't know, but maybe it will have its time to shine later or not at all, like it all depends really.
You're so smart. I was literally just gonna, like, when she'd finished, if you hadn't have said it, I was gonna be like, but I don't know the reason because I do love it. But yeah, you're right. I think it will. I think if there is a right time for it, I'll just know there'll be. It might even be in 5 years, and I'll come back to it and be like, it's time. This is the one.
Yeah, I'm like super annoying about all that kind of stuff, like release this and this, like this is my favorite song and why did you not release this? But then when I think deeply, I'm like, I'm also, there's look, I've recorded episodes by myself and I did not put them out because I felt like I was yapping about nothing, but there was some like good stuff that I pointed out, but I was like, no, like this is not the time. And I have some in my like drafts and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, they'll like maybe never come out because it's not something I resonate with anymore, or I didn't resonate with it then. And when I was speaking about it, I wasn't sure if it's the right time. It just all depends. So I really like to understand the artist's point of view of when they don't want to release something because then they're not like sure that it's the right time to shine for the song.
Yeah, but also, like, I don't think art created is ever art wasted. Like your episodes that maybe you've recorded and they haven't come out, even if, like, listening back, you've thought that it's not, that you haven't said anything. One, I'm sure you have because your podcast's great. But two, like, I'm sure in the moment that it was like therapeutic for you, or it was things that you needed to get out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I agree so much. And thank you for saying that. I really do appreciate it. I hope people time by time will enjoy this. So, yeah.
If not, I'll listen.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I wanted to mention this earlier, but I was just like scrolling through Twitter and I saw your tweet like I'm recording something like today, and people were like so excited in the comments, and I was like I am a fucking nobody, and people are just like so excited, and I'm so scared they will be like super disappointed of, not because of you, but because of me. Like, who is this teenage girl yapping about, and what are these questions, and what is she actually like doing with her life?
No, I promise your questions are so like insightful and fun to answer. So I can only imagine that they're going to be fun to listen to. And also, I've said in my TikTok lives for so long that I want to do a podcast. So this is so exciting.
Oh my god, I wish I was on that live. I would just like call you up like the second I could.
I do TikTok lives all the time. I'm actually planning to do one tonight. So
Okay, maybe I'm gonna join because I need to do my skincare and all that kind of stuff, because I
oh,
just
amazing.
did not stop since 8 p.m. So yeah, I need to get
Oh
my
my
stuff.
gosh,
If you're doing that, I'm gonna be there probably.
amazing.
um are there any upcoming projects, collaborations, or releases you can hint at
Yeah.
or share with us?
So as I said, I'm currently working on an EP. I can't remember how in detail I went into about it earlier, but basically, I'm trying to overhaul the way that I work to try and maximize my creativity, basically, because it's not that I mean, I've had days where I'm like, I hate everything that we've ever made and put out, but I think it was more the process that there were things that I'm like, okay, we can do that better, or that can be more enjoyable. Um, so I took some time away after the last release, and also because my personal life just got like I graduated, I moved house twice. Um, my friends got married. Like there was just a few months over summer that it was just mad. So I had some time away, and we've been slowly coming back to it now. Um, and we the plan at the moment is just to produce lots and lots of things with no goal as to what is or isn't going to come out and no time frame. So I'm writing new things both with instruments and without. We're producing just for the sake of it. And then I'm also bringing up old songs that I love and we're trying to make those also. Um, and I'm the only thing I'm absolutely sure of because it will make the EP if it kills me is the song that made me and Barney start making music together. And it's called A Final Thought. And nobody's ever heard it. Like my friends have heard it, but as in the fans have never heard it. I've never leaked it or sang it or anything. And that's another thing I'm trying to do with this EP because I'm the worst at leaking my own songs and spilling secrets and posting snippets or even just playing full songs. And then I think, which I love doing and I love drawing people in that way, but I think it leaves less element of surprise for releases. So I'm really trying with the EP when I write something I love to not share it instantly, um, which is really, really, really hard when it's work that I'm really proud of. But I'm hoping with this EP that the songs that are new or the songs that are new to the audience will be hopefully pretty much completely new, other than a hint here or there. Um, so yeah, but yeah, other than that, right now I don't know anything either. I've got some ideas brewing, and some Spotify playlists and mood boards have been made. But I sometimes forget to put the Spotify playlists on private. And one of the lovely Livia updates accounts actually tweeted, like, Livia's made a new playlist. And I was like, I had to message them and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please, can you take that down? Because it wasn't meant to be public. I just forgot to take it down.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I mean, I'm super excited, and if you're down, I would love to go track by track once the EP is out in the future,
I would
because
love that.
I love doing this right now with, your songs, and I'm just like super excited to hear the EP once it's out, even though it's not like actually like And I mean, it's an idea now, but just like you don't know like what's up really with that. So
Yeah,
yeah, super excited for that.
thank you.
And yeah, the update account, I was one myself a few years ago when I was just like doing fan pages and all that kind of stuff, and they just like see everything. Like they're truly the smart people out there who just like notice things that you wouldn't even like notice ever. I think that's where I got my stalker skills. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for definite.
And the last question I ask, and it's not a question, it's more like a message. And I ask this every artist because this is obviously like about getting to know you and your music, but also many other small artists can listen to this, or aspiring artists that want to do music but don't know where to start. If you could share like a little message for them, and just like whatever you want to say to them, and maybe they will feel inspired. I'm sure they will because you're very smart. But yeah, this is like your space to do so.
Ooh, this feels like pressure.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
um, I'd say, I mean, this is also, anything I'm about to say is also, I guess also, I'm telling myself as well that I need to listen to this more often. Um, to trust your vision and trust your guts and your instincts, because you most of the time know best, and you know yourself and your work, and set your boundaries. Definitely set boundaries, and to push yourself, and to be able to step back and look at a project with pride and with love, but also in the way that I'm trying to do now, not as like in a horrible way, but what could you do better next time, even if it's not work wise, even if it's emotionally, like how were you feeling as you went through that creative process, and were there things that you don't want to feel again, that you could make changes towards having a better environment, having a better work life balance, whatever that might be. Find it and use it and take that energy into your everyday life or into like the next project you do, which, saying all of that sounds a lot easier than it actually is. But I think even just having those thoughts that you'd like to look after yourself better emotionally in such deep creative projects is the first step to actually doing it. So that's my advice to myself first, and then to anybody else listening, because I guess that applies to all life things and not just other artists.
I am first of all, like I don't know what to say because as I said, you're so well spoken, and I wanted to say that I even feel inspired even though I'm not an artist, because it was worded in such a way where everyone can relate to it in so many ways. So thank you for saying this. Like it means so much to me also. And I just love doing this because I can educate myself on so many things and learn so many things. So yeah, thank you so much, truly.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being so lovely. I'm sure like this must be so fun for you doing your podcast and getting to talk to so many different people doing so many different things.
Yeah, it is. It's so inspirational. And, the fact that people are even like willing to do this with me just means so much. And especially when we like end this and the recording is off and they say how they enjoyed this. And that means so much to me because I love watching interviews, and sometimes I even like cringe myself of how they just like ask stuff that are so inappropriate, and I would never ever like want this for even myself. I know all that kind of like interesting relationship stuff or like personal life kind of stuff can get the views really up, but that's not really what this is for me
Yeah,
about.
that definitely comes across, and like your questions and the way that you handle this is just so nice, and this has been such a great first podcast experience.
Thank you so much. And that's so interesting because with that, this year's Poppy Up is over. This is the last episode of Poppy Up
Really?
this year. Yeah.
Well, it's been such an honor to close it up. Wow.
Yeah, this will come out December 20th. So, and then next week on Friday, I'm gonna do like a little recap just by myself of what I want to say, and what I've been experiencing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is the last Poppy app of this year.
Wow, well, congratulations on such a cool like podcast series, and I can't wait to listen to the roundup.
Thank you. And I'm so honored that you are the last person here because it's been amazing and so, educational and interesting. And I've just loved every single second of this. And I can't wait to do this with you again soon once you have your project out, hopefully very soon. So I don't have to wait much, but also take your time. Take all the time in the world.
That's literally my own brain. It's like, and we have all the time, then it's like, yeah, but release something now.
Yeah. So no pressure, but also like I can't wait.
Thank you.
But if you're gonna do like a show closer to me or I will travel, I need to get my passport down. I said this to so many people. They were like, come to the UK. And I'm like, I will. I just need to get my passport down. And it's like very expensive right now, thanks to the inflation's like 50 euros, which is insane. And you need to wait for like 3 months. And I'm like, what the hell, actually? But I need to do that and come.
Well, one day I will do an EU tour, or somebody can take me on tour as a support, and we can do an interview in person.
That would be insane. Have like a cameras on and everything. I'm so down.
Let's make it happen. Have you seen the current memes about holding space for Defying Gravity?
No.
Oh,
What's
okay.
it about?
I'm not even sure how to quickly explain. So the Wicked press tour in Australia, Ariana and Cynthia did an interview with somebody who mentioned that the queer community online have been holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. And Cynthia very dramatically was like, oh wow, that's all I've ever wanted. But with the context that Defying Gravity is 20 years old, it's not new, and Cynthia didn't write it. And then Cynthia asks the interviewer, like, where is this happening? And the interviewer's just like, oh, on a few posts. And it's just really funny, and it's now a meme all over Twitter.
Oh yeah, I think I saw it. I don't. I think I saw something on TikTok. I remember because I didn't watch like the interviews much because I've been busy, but I just like saw this one meme where Ariana is holding one finger. One.
It's from that interview.
It's from that interview. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna watch the whole interview now because I was just like cackling up of why is she holding her like one finger? Like that was so hilarious to me, but like I didn't actually like know. Yeah, I need to check on that because that's funny as hell.
It's so funny. We can have our moment like that in our in-person interview.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold your toenail and it's gonna be something new. But like I'm very inspired by Cynthia and Ariana, so yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, thank you so much again, and this is the end. That sounds very dramatic. I'm gonna be back next year, like literally next episode will come out the first Friday of New Year's. But yeah, I'm just super grateful to like wrap this up with you this year. And it's been an interesting year, but yeah, we've grown and learned so much, and I can't wait for new music and all that kind of stuff. And stay updated. I'm gonna link all of your songs down there and your socials. So just check this out. And if you don't, then I will be stalking you like Joe Goldberg. If you know the series You, then you know.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you to anybody that's listened. Go and listen to the rest of the series.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your days, and yeah, see you next year.